News is brainwashing. That sounds pretty out there. Do you believe in unbiased news? You believe that news was once neutral, but now it's not? Well, you might be brainwashed. You're certainly at least a victim of propaganda. Now, I've had boomers and some older folks sound shocked when I tell them I don't watch the news. And they'll laugh or smirk and say, "Oh, you're not informed." If your news comes from a television network or cable entity, accurate, useful information is not its product. Newspapers and broadsides during the Revolutionary War didn't print both sides of the issue. It wasn't like you had a major newspaper being printed by a loyalist saying, well, let's look at the other side of this whole revolution thing. The Federalists and Anti Federalists had their own newspapers, and they did not debate the Constitution in their paper. They presented their viewpoint only. We can only see the debate in the after effect looking at both Federalist and Anti Federalist papers. Until radio, newspapers were most often identified by party affiliation. Remnants of the names of these still exist. You will see things called the such and such Democrat or the such and such Republican because they used to be absolutely biased towards their own party. Now, when radio and TV came up, they had the issue of dealing with government licensing. And this tended to cause a general effect of the media being uncritical of the party that was in power. During the 30s and 40s, we essentially had the GOP collapse as an opposition party. The establishment was finally in agreement. News media, for the most part, reflected that uniparty view. So, what is the product that is news? Well, news tells you what is important by what it talks about and also by what it ignores. News is authoritative. Those who believe in news assume what they are hearing is accurate. They don't ask for sources, they don't look into those sources, or for the most part, very rarely do any additional research on what they're consuming. Information that people accept without or with very little question is highly valuable stuff. It's a very valuable product. So, where does the money come from? Well, we all know it comes from ad revenue to sponsors. So, how likely is it that a news organization would self censor to avoid upsetting a particularly large sponsor? How likely is it that a news organization might accept a suggested story or even a particular use of verbiage from their sponsor? Why does nearly every news set look identical? Why are they sitting behind the desk? Why do we often see other people working on computer workstations in the background? Why do we have the we actually kind of see it on mine here with Walter here on the side. I'm mimicking the old 70s and 80s nude broadcast to a certain extent. It's just kind of what people expect to see. So, why does all this look alike? Why is there such incredible similarity? Well, it's because marketing research has been done to fine tune what makes them look authoritative. They have nearly 70 years of broadcast information to hone the best look, what tone to take, what verbiage is most likely to get people to accept what they see and hear as highly legitimate. To accept the information they hear is important and for the most part correct. To get people to this point is the pinnacle of marketing research. Now, they don't hire the best journalist. They don't hire someone who's really good at looking into things. They hire the best presenter. They hire someone who looks good and sounds good or meets a certain demographic. And you may say to yourself, well, I have an ability to critically analyze what I'm seeing and hearing. I'm going to tell you, you actually don't. When you sit down at 6 o'clock to watch the news, you're putting your brain in a receptive mode. The many years of reinforcement of the legitimacy of news makes it hard for you to critically react to anything short of things that violate your core beliefs. How are you when you are watching the news? Is it an interactive event, or are you just basically sitting back placid and receptive? Take notes when you consume the news product? Do you ever review what you saw? Ever check one of their sources? Do you even know what their sources are? Have you ever checked for an alternative viewpoint? Now, think of something more like Facebook or emails or X or YouTube or any of the other various video channels that are out there. Have you ever watched something or read a post that you disagree with and then you immediately try to look up the counter information to it? It's almost true to 100% certainty that you've done that. Have you ever done that with the news? The answer is probably not at all. And if for something catches your eye in the news and you actually do go do a little additional research, have you ever done it the same number of times in a ratio that's the same as what you do to online material? And the answer is certainly not. You accept the news as it is. You see something online, you're tending to be more critical. You can't be critical of the news because you have been programmed for decades not to. The point is, you ultimately consume news uncritically. You don't look for unbiased alternative views. The news is captive to an advertisement system that has captured it. It decides what is important, who presents it, and how it's presented. Now, hopefully, this is giving you a moment. So I'm going to throw two important ideas at you. First, I'm going to ask you pick a week or a month to shut off your TV. If you're really into it, it's going to sound harsh, but try it. I mean, there's ways you can catch up on your other shows if you need to. You do this for a week or a month, and you'll be amazed what happens. It will literally change you. You will not, it's going to blow your mind because you're going to be able to pick out the people who watch news and the people who don't just by listening to them talk around you. Again, it'll be mind blowing. I highly recommend it. Second, you should approach all information, regardless of where it comes from, by asking the following two questions. Why do they want me to think this is important? Why do they want me to believe this? Now, to clarify, those questions are not to make you think everybody is lying to you. Even completely true information can be detrimental if you give it the wrong level of importance. So, hopefully, I've given somebody a little bit of food for thought. Now, I'm going to be discussing how I get information in some upcoming videos, my sources, how I look at them, etc., etc. Might be useful to some of you. Uh, this is probably a video that might be worth sharing with one of your boomer friends, parents, siblings. Uh, please talk in the comments below. Did you give up cable and broadcast news? Did you see the change I'm talking about where you realize, wow, you can tell who's who based on what information they consume and where they get it from? Uh, please hit the like button. Uh, if you come across this and you're not a regular subscriber, check out my other titles. I get into a lot of different topics. I'm sure you'll find something you like. Consider subscribing. And if you've got that boomer relative or friend that you're trying to get to change your mind, consider sharing this video with them. Maybe it'll help. Thank you for spending time with me this evening. Hope to see you again in a future video.